I just finished the intelligence-only run on Elden Ring, and I thought it'd be fun to make a tier list of all the sorceries. So here it is, my Elden Ring sorcery tier list. Actually, well, wait a second. Is there a sorcery tier list maker? There must be, right? Should we do it? Oh boy, this is a big tier list here. Oh my god. Maybe just skip over the incants. There's this one. Why is there an F tier and then stuff below F tier? Yeah, so this is normally my setup, right? Like maybe I should change it and go with some middle tier and have an E tier or something. I just feel like that's too many tiers though. Okay, nice. They have all the sorceries first. Look how nice the icons look though, huh? FromSoft always does a nice job with all this stuff. All right, Thorns. Wow, we're starting bad, I guess. So Thorns, here's the thing with Thorns, I think. Here's the thing with Thorns. It is clearly not meant to be used as your damage output. It's sort of just something that I believe it can upkeep poise damage if you're rolling into enemies. So it's not something that's bad to have on, but it doesn't really do much. I put an F tier last time. I'll probably still put an F tier. So here, let me explain my tiers. This is best of the best, really strong. This is just, I guess, just, you know, slightly below that. Like this is all the absolute best stuff. This is the really good stuff. This is the better than average stuff. This is the below average stuff. So basically a C plus is around average, B minus is around average. D is the quite bad, but still, you know, still does something. And then F tier is the completely useless. And Thorns is basically useless. This is this is the ranged one. Briar of Punishment, I think, right? Good range. It's just a worse Thorns, I would say. So it's not bad in the, like, it's kind of late though, right? Or is this the one in Liurnia? And then Brierson's the later one? I don't know. I don't think it's bad. I think this is pretty much just a solid C. It's a C to a C minus, I think. It's okay. I'm not gonna take too long. There's a lot of sorceries to go through. Sinna's Liurnia. Okay, so it is in Mounds, so that's actually even worse. But it's got nice range. It has some bleed on it. It does mediocre damage. You know, it's a spell that casts and can hit stuff, so you can use it. It's just not as good as some other options. Okay, Briars of Sin. So yeah, I would say this is probably a C. Briars of Sin is really bad, dude. It's so slow and it's close range. So it's so unrealistic to land this. The real question is this F or D minus tier? It doesn't even do very good damage, dude. Where would you use this? Basically nowhere, but that's tough. I'm gonna put in D minus because it at least does some damage, and maybe there's some build out there where you go tank, you know, tank will build, and you just run up to enemies and just spam this, and you just get tons of bleed and stuff. Because it does do good bleed. It's so slow, and you're basically gonna tank a hit if you're using it on a boss. So it looks really cool though. Cool spell. Yeah, this is PvE only. 100% this is PvE only. This tier list. Oh yeah, as we established before, I think Thorns is pretty clearly a B tier spell. It has really good damage, but it's inconsistent. It has good range, but yeah, the inconsistency is the problem. If you're on like a slight uneven terrain, it'll get caught up on the terrain. If you're on uphill, it just won't go anywhere, basically. It has very big issues on target. Like, it can't hit targets where their head's in the air if you're fighting a dragon consistently at all. And it's really slow. The only reason it's not lower is because that damage is really good. And it's basically just an upgraded version of this, so it's just a B tier. This one we put as a C tier. This one's a B tier, I think. Okay, Slicer, obviously S tier spell. Easily among the highest DPS in the game. It works with all of the multi-hit talismans. I mean, just insane damage, but it doesn't do poise damage, really. But if you're looking for DPS, and it can do the jump attacks, the sprint attacks, the roll attacks, and it's basically a melee weapon that's supercharged, and it's so FP efficient as well. I personally think if there was any spell in the entire game that I would pick to go do a playthrough with, and it's like, okay, what is the best spell to pick? You have to do all the content in the game. What would you pick? I would probably pick Slicer, even including the incants. I think there are some other honorable mentions though, like Knight's Lightning Spear, and you know, I don't know, maybe Catch Flame. I guess Catch Flame is clearly worse though. But yeah, Slicer clearly, you know, it's so easy to buff up, right? Like I said, the Thorny Crack tier, the multi-hit talismans, the Carrion Glintstone Staff, whatever it's called. No, I wouldn't pick Pest Threads over. No way. Pest Threads is pretty specific where it's good. Okay, Glintblade. Magic Glintblade's really solid, I think. It's good on a lot of things, dude, because it's so quick to cast, and even NPCs, they input read it, but because of the delay, they won't roll it, right? Like, this is such a good spell. And you can start out the game with it, too. Oh, that's tough, dude. Is it an A minus? It's weird how I put Glintblade Trio as a B tier in in my DLC tier list. That's definitely too low, dude. It's either an A- or a B+. I'm gonna put it at A- because you can simply start the game with it, and it just starts out really good. It's good on... If you're picking a sorcerer and you're using the spell, there's very few areas in the game where it's not good. It's good on dragons, it's good on NPCs, it's good on all the main bosses because it's so fast. So I'm gonna say it's an A-. Okay, Magic Downpour, I think this is really trash, dude. Like, that's borderline F tier, I think. It's D- or F tier. This Magic Downpour is horrible. Doesn't really do a lot of damage. You just cast it above your head. It's kind of, again, just a really bad Rain of Fire. But I'm gonna put it in D- because you could use it still. It's not, like, totally useless, which I would say Thorns basically is. I mean, it's right down here. Maybe it's below even this one, because I could see a use case for this one if you're going with an insane tank build. You're just poising through attacks and bleeding enemies. This one, I don't even see that, so I'm going to move it to F tier, I think. I just don't really see the use case for it at all. Okay, Camera Retaliation. I think this is a really cool spell. These types of spells I always give a little bonus to because I just think they're cool, and having utility's nice. So this one's tough to place, actually, because you also have the Shield Ash of War, which is the same thing. I feel like the spell has more frames, though. I could be wrong on that. But testing it during the run, it felt like it had more frames. And I think it's really cool. That's basically just all I'm going to go off of here. So I'm gonna give it a good on Moog. It would be good on Renala. Probably good on Rolan as well, I guess. I'm probably a B+, I guess. I think it's fun to use. Okay, this one is Lucidity, I believe. So this is the one that cleanses the sleep and madness. Like, this is not useful, dude. Like, madness is so uncommon. I guess there's the spot in the DLC and Abyssal Woods and the Madness Tower. It's probably a D tier, I guess. It's just, well, I mean, maybe it's F tier because where do you use this? I'm going to say F tier because it's basically just useless, I think. Okay, maybe I need the whole spell list up right now, dude, because did I close it? No. This one is this a normal Glintblade Phalanx? Yeah, it is. Okay, the Glintblade Phalanx. I think this one, I mean, there's no way it could be above a C tier, I think, because it's more just like an accessory spell. You're probably not going to ever use this as your main source of damage, but I mean, it does do some damage though, and it's got that delayed cast, so again, it can be decent on maybe NPCs. Doesn't do too much damage though. I think it's just like a C, maybe a C+, I guess. It's fine. I think it's a cool spell. What's this one? Magic, Carrying Greatsword. I feel like this is an underrated spell, dude. It does pretty good, like underrated because you have such an insane melee spell. And why would you ever use anything other than Slicer? But this is pretty good. Decent damage. It's not even that slow either. Again, Slicer is just a better version, so it makes this seem worse than it actually is. I think this is a B tier. And does it go below Thorns? It's a lot more consistent to use than Thorns, though. I'm going to just say it's a solid B right next to Thorns. I don't know if it's above or below it. It's probably a B. I think it's a B tier. Is Miriam's Vanishing? I put this one in an A tier in my DLC tier list just because it was so cool. I think it's pretty cool, even if it's not really that good. I haven't really tested the extent of like dodges that you can do with it. Yeah, like maybe this could be a B+, actually, I guess. It's a B or a B+, in my opinion. But yeah, I think this is a fun spell. I think it's cool, but how useful is it actually? I mean, you just get a lot of iframes, right? Can't be a bad thing. I haven't tested enough. Basis of Coolness? Yeah, basically Basis of Coolness. I was also partially putting it there because you can use it to dodge Meter's laser. Now, does anyone know, does this dodge the Earthquake on Rykard? Yeah, because they nerfed the iframes. Yeah, they did change it since I last used it. I don't know. I really feel like it's not that good. Like, A is way too high for this thing, dude. I don't know. I haven't tested enough. Maybe I don't really want to leave it, but I'll just say it's basically like average, I guess. Mostly because it's kind of cool to have a teleport like that, but I would need to test it more and see if it can dodge Rykard's Earthquake. But even then, though, it's still too late in the game. So I'm gonna say it's a C tier, I guess. G tier. Piercer, dude. Piercer's really nice. I was surprised at how good this was. Really good damage. I guess sometimes it can miss enemies, though, but the knockdown is so good on it. And if I'm not mistaken, it can't be input read as well, right? Is that true? So it just smokes the NPCs, which is important because there's a lot of DLC NPC bosses. It's a little slow, though. Like, its DPS isn't crazy, but it's really good at killing small enemies. So I think for sure this is a B+. Another really solid sorcery, I think. Like, it's one that's really nice to have if you're doing a sorcerer build. And it goes along nicely with Slicer as well. So I like what it does. Okay, Glintblade Trio. So I gave this a B last time. Like, I think it has to go with normal Glintblade. It's a slower version, but it just has more damage. So it's a similar type of thing. So it's definitely right there with normal Glintblade Glintblade, or Magic Glintblade, I guess. I think it's right there with it. I think it's an A- spell. Really good. Okay, so this is Great Blade Phalanx. I for sure think this one has more use case than normal Glintblade Phalanx because it's got the poise damage. It's slower casting, but it has poise damage, so I don't think this is an amazing spell, but I would probably give this a B-, I think. Just it's got nice poise damage, which is handy. And similarly, I guess this one's Carrion Phalanx. I think this is probably also a B-. It's like it's solid extra damage to have. Probably most of the time you're better off just casting another spell, but it depends. And this one just has better damage, so probably B- for both of these. Oracle Bubbles. This is pretty much just an average, like pretty average spell, I think. Maybe a little below average. Maybe it's a C-. It does okay damage, like middle of the road damage. It's not super slow. There just isn't really much reason to use this spell, I guess, though. Like maybe it's a D+, dude. I guess the one thing that I like about it is that the projectiles will float in the air so enemies can move into it. It's definitely in this range, though. C- to D+. I'll give it a C- because it does do some damage. Yeah, that seems right. Oracular Bubble I like way more because it has... maybe I'm biased to this spell. If you've seen my Sorcery no-hit run, I basically use this everywhere. I actually didn't know Air's Reach works with bubble spells, though. That's cool. Now, this spell has some of the best poise damage of sorceries, but it's super slow. Like, it does 20 on a fully charged attack. But what's special about it is that you can set up boss kills really nicely with it. It's tough to use mid-combat, but if you're aggroing a boss, if you know what you're doing with this spell, you can make really good use out of it. But that being said, you need to know what you're doing, which is kind of a problem. Maybe. Because, yeah, it has amazing damage. And can one-shot bosses easily. And by one-shot bosses, I mean, like, basically stacking up 3 of these things and then they run through it. But yeah, because it's tough to use in, like, a normal situation, you need to know what you're doing. It can't be more than a B tier, I think. Well, maybe a B+, just because I like it. And it does have some insane damage potential on it. Glintstone Ice Crag, I guess is what it's called. So this is kind of like a spell version of Ice Spear, but without lots of poise damage. Good Frostbite, really good damage. The thing it's missing is the range, but I mean, no matter how you put it, this has got to be a B+ spell, I think. I don't think it can, well, I don't really, it could be an A- maybe. It's just the range. If this had long range, there's no question this is an A. There's no doubt. But because of the really short range on it, I think it's got to go in B tier. I think B+. This is Frozen Armament. Unfortunately, this is not a very good spell, dude. I think the problem with it is that right down the road, you have Chilling Mist, Ash of War, which I just see it as a better option. So I don't think it's trash, but it's got to be like a C tier, just simply because there are better options. But I guess, I mean, you'd be able to put this on Bloodhound's Fang. So maybe that's not bad. Maybe I'm too low on it, actually. Maybe it's like a C+. That'd probably be the best use case for it that I can think of is on Bloodhound's Fang, because you can't put Chilling Mist on it, right? So, but yeah, I mean, I guess the other use case would be you put it on as a reusable grease on something like what? Basically just some weapon that you want to still use the Ash of War on. So, like, if you wanted to put Lion's Claw on something, and it's like, oh, you want to go with Chilling Mist on it or something? Like, that probably wouldn't be the best case, but yeah, Glintblade Trio is really good, yeah. I mean, maybe I could say it's a B-, dude. I'm just trying to think of where you'd want to use it, because, like, on a weapon with, on something like Spinning Weapon, it could be good. Yeah, just the same, it's basically the same as Freezing Grease, but Freezing Grease is pretty good. But if you were putting Spinning Weapon on something, like, let's say a Scythe, right? Scythe with Spinning Weapon, has innate bleed on it. Going with this buff allows you to not go with the Frost Infusion and get more damage out of it. So, like, I don't know. I'm going to say B+, or C+, I mean. I'm going to say C+, because it's not super useful, but it's still not bad. Okay, Freezing Mist, I guess could be used to cheese stuff, but it's not very good. You're much better off just using Ice Crag to try to frost something, because then you're actually dealing damage as well. And then, like, you can't cast this far away, and like I thought you could cast it far away like you can with whatever this one's called that I don't remember. Something, not Pestilent Mist. What is it called? Night Maiden's Mist. Yeah, you can't cast it far, so it's like I don't know, not that good. D. I'm gonna say this is a D. This is a D-, this is a D. Okay, this is a Dula Moonblade. This one, I think, has to be an A tier, dude. It's basically just the greatsword, but better. So it's an A tier. Good damage, got frostbite on it, which makes it do even more damage. It's kind of late in the game, though, but that doesn't... Like, in Elden Ring, that doesn't really matter as much as it would in Dark Souls. This is a really solid sorcery, I think. I think this is an A- as well. Like, it's right in here with the other ones. I think these are probably all A- or maybe an A, even for a Dula Moonblade. Again, it is still overshadowed with Slicer, but it can be really nice in combination with Slicer. Like, you can proc Frost quickly and then go Slicer if you wanted to, but you don't need to, but you could. So yeah, I'm gonna say it's like an A-. Zamor Ice Storm. I didn't really test it out too much on this run, but it seemed pretty good on Millennia, at least. I can imagine quite a few scenarios where it could be good. Basically, instantly procced Frostbite when I used it. I need to test it on more stuff, but my first instinct is that this is a B+. Hit enemies around corner, cast it early on boss like Mesmer. Yeah, I guess that's a good point. Yeah, you can bait enemies into it. I don't know. I need to test it more. My first instinct is that it's a B+, though. I think I like this spell. I think it's pretty cool, but I haven't seen enough. So I'm going to say it's a B+. Like, maybe it's better than that. Maybe it does in some insane damage I'm not aware of, but and like, I guess it also, you can use that Divine Beast Talisman as well. Okay, what are the names of these ones? Crystal Release, I think. Maybe? Yeah, Crystal, wait, no, that's Crystal, Shattering Crystal. So this is like the shotgun one. I wasn't too impressed by this one. I mean, I wasn't too impressed by any of these, but it was okay for a close range kind of shotgun spell. Just basically just a much better version of this one, Crystal Burst. Yeah, like, I just think this is a pretty average spell, dude. I'm gonna say it's like, it does some okay damage, but it's close range. I don't think it's really too special. I'm gonna say it's a B-, probably. Maybe like here. Okay, Crystal Release can do a lot of damage, but like, when do you use it though? It can do so much damage. I can't spell crystal without C. Yeah, it's a pretty average spell, I would say, right? It's pretty average, so it's a B- to a C+, somewhere in that average range. Yeah, Crystal Release does so much damage, but it's inconsistent and has almost no range. That, like, it doesn't have good range damage, although it can hit from like mid-range, which is not consistently and not really a lot of damage at that distance. So the question is, where do you use it? The things that come to mind are the first hits, like stealth hits on bosses, right? Like, you know, like a Blackblade Kindred, or, you know, an Avatar would be okay as well. I don't know, dude. I'm like, these feel like a lot of average, just kind of average range spells to me. You know, it's probably even lower. Like, maybe it's a C+. You have Tankle Bill, it could be good for trading. I guess so. Yeah, like, it did have the hyper armor on it too, right? I remember correctly. No, it does too much damage to be a C tier, I think. I'm gonna say it's a B-. Yeah, Mogar got after Shackle. That's true. Yeah, like, it's a solid spell, I think. This one's Crystal Burst, Crystal Torrent. Now, this one definitely seemed to be the worst out of all of them. It's like a budget, like ultra budget Comet Azure. Not really good range on it either, it seemed. I'm not impressed by this one, dude. This one's definitely a C tier, but its damage isn't too bad. Damage is not too bad. I'm thinking it's a C tier, C- tier probably. Yeah, I'm gonna say C-. Rancor Call. Wait, is that the right one? There are two of them, right? Yeah, Rancor Call. I mean, this is just like, it's a spell. Didn't really seem to do too much. I guess it's good on NPCs with the slow projectiles. Like, it's just a average. You know, I guess the thing with sorcery is that there's a really, like, this is probably how you want your spells to look, right? You'd rather that than, well, actually, I don't know about that. The incantations look a lot different. I haven't done a full incantation tier list, but incantations are more like a straight line down. You have, you know, a number of S tiers, a number of A tiers, a number of B tier, C tier. It's more even that way. But sorcery is definitely way more in the middle type. Yeah, I'm gonna say Rancor Call's like a C-. It doesn't really do great damage, but like, you can use it. It's fine. It's okay. But okay, Fia's Mist has to be an F tier, I think, dude. Like, where would you ever use Fia's Mist? I think it's less useful than all these other ones. It's just bad. Okay, these rings. What are they called again? Yeah, again, it's a PvE tier list, so if something's good in PvP, I'm not, like, I'm sure lots of these would be good in PvP that I haven't ranked good at all, but this one is called Rings of Spectral Light. I think this is a really solid spell. But again, it's like, I don't think it's an A tier, dude. It doesn't do enough damage for that. I think it's a B+, though. Yeah, really good range. Really good tracking as well. But just, you know, they do a small amount of frostbite, which is nice to have, but they don't really do tons of damage, right? I don't know. I guess what I could do is just move basically all of these 4 spells up to A tier and up to A minus. If I wanted to be more balanced. Yeah, you can stack them as well, but I don't think there's enough to be an A minus tier though. I don't think it's enough. And that's not a problem, right? Like having a bunch of B plus spells isn't really a bad thing because that means you can just use them all and they're all really solid. But yeah, they're not blowing me away with being just like really, really good. And they're not obviously just annihilating the entire game. All right, Tibia Summons. I was honestly surprised by how not bad this was. That being said, so the damage is pretty good. It's a pretty, like it's a normal cast speed. The problem is you miss hits if a target's moving. But again, there's no way this is below a C tier, right? Like it's just kind of one of those, it's just a fine spell. Like it's okay. A little bit below average, I think. Okay, Massive Putrescence. I think I underrated this in my other tier list. Where did I put it at? Where is it? Did I do it? I put this at a C minus tier probably, or a C tier. That's too low. Like this is at least a B tier in my opinion. You know, it's good just for clearing out mobs, which, I mean, there's a lot of mobs in the game, right? You're not really going to be using this on most bosses probably unless it's like Millennia Phase 1, you're far away. Maybe it could work. But yeah, it got the nice Frost AoE with solid damage as well. It's not bad. Like a lot, you could carry this spell through the whole game and use it consistently. It's pretty good damage. Now this one, I think, this is Vortex of Putrescence. I think this is better. It's fast enough to be used as a close range spell, and against bigger targets from close range, it can do lots of damage because it hits twice, right? It'll hit with the projectiles, and then it'll also hit with the AoE after. But again, like I don't think it's enough to be an A tier spell though. I do think it is quite good. Like, could it be an A tier? It's so late in the game though. It's a little hard to judge, but if you're doing NG plus, like I'm just thinking about using it on a boss like Morgott and Radahn, Godric, it would be really solid on all of them, but you got to be a little bit close, I guess. I don't know if it pushes to an A tier, dude. It does have some of the highest damage potentials, but actually getting that damage potential can be a bit tough. It's just another good spell, dude. I don't think it's enough for an A tier, though. It's just another good spell. This is Ancient Death Rancor. It's just another good spell, I guess. Like, it's decent. The damage isn't amazing, but it can track stuff. And it's just a slightly better version of this one. So for the first 5, B and A, I could justify doing that and say these are A tiers. I could do that, but I'm not going to. Oh, this is very subjective, right? I mean, yeah, maybe this is a little bit too low for this one, but it's just a solid B tier, I would say. Like, perfectly usable. Okay, now this is, which one is this called? Explosive Ghost Flame. This one, it's tougher to see when to use. I think if you stun a boss, it can be good, but I almost just see it as a worse version of Vortex. Maybe that's wrong, but based on when I was testing it on this run, like the damage wasn't like anything super spectacular. Like this is a tough one to use. So I think it's probably, but it's good damage. Good damage, but a little awkward to use because it's so slow. So I mean, it's either I guess probably like a C minus, I guess. If I'm putting Crystal Torrent in C minus, then this one's also C minus. Unless I just want to throw these to D plus. I guess it's a similar type of thing, I guess, right? Because this deals some good damage if you can land it, but it's really slow and it's like channeled. You're better off using some other stuff. It could be a C minus though. It's definitely usable. Okay, Finger. Glintstone Nail, I think it's called. Yeah, Glintstone Nail. Just, again, another really solid sorcery, dude. Maybe this is getting boring, but, like, what do I do, man? It's just a solid sorcery, very FP efficient. And then, similarly, the Glintstone Nails is really good, too. Like, just good damage. Tracks really nicely. I mean, actually, I would even put these above, maybe. Is it better than Piercer? Maybe. Another B+. Yeah, really good cast speed as well. Good tracking. I mean, yeah, actually, this could be an A tier. If I'm putting the Glint Blades in A tier, this probably has to also be an A tier. And they're both good too. Right? Like, they're both like similarly to these both do a good job. Like maybe this one's a little below. I think I can put this one in A. I think that's reasonable. Because this damage is really solid, good casting speed, really good tracking too. And it's slow moving, so it's also good on NPCs. So yeah, I'm going to put that on A. Okay, Cherishing Fingers is not very good. I mean, we tried to deflect stuff with it. It's super slow. Doesn't really do too much damage, but yeah, I think a D+ is reasonable. If it dealt average damage, this would definitely be a solid B tier, but it doesn't. It deals low damage. So, well, maybe it is average damage, dude. I would say it's a bit below average damage, but good cast speed. So maybe it gets itself into C, actually. Yeah, sure. Okay, Fleeting Microcosm. This is a like super solid, really, really good spell. It doesn't get input red. It has numerous hitboxes that knock down stuff, which is really good. And you can really spam it. Like the cast speed's really quick. So good damage, solid range. Not amazing range, but good enough. Very spammable. This can make a lot of bosses super easy and really good for enemies as well. So, and it's got a huge AoE on it too. Like this is obvious A tier in my opinion. Ronnie's Moon. So Ronnie's Moon takes a lot of FP, in very good range, has Frostbite on it, good Frostbite, and has the magic weakness effect. It's pretty good, dude. Like this wouldn't be something you only use on a boss because it's way too slow, but it can be a good opening. And it's got some good tracking too. So it's a good opening on a boss, especially if you're going into something like, you know, Dula Moonblade or Glintstone Ice Crag or the Rings of Spectral Light to get the Frostbite. There's like, it's a B tier, right? Like it's definitely a B tier because it's good on that opening cast, but it's not really good beyond that. It's just too slow. I guess you can use it to dodge some of those attacks where you want to be in the air. There's no way it's an A tier though. I'm going to say it's a solid B. B to maybe B plus, potentially. Like I think this is, if you're doing a sorcerer build, this is a really nice spell to have. And yeah, it can also eat up projectiles as well, which is a nice bonus. So I think it's a really cool spell. If I was ranking coolness, it would be S tier for sure. And it just everything about the spell, the animation, the way it looks, everything is so nice about it. And it also works really well. So, but this is mostly based on how it functions. So definitely a nice B plus on this one. So Renala's Moon is basically the same, but you don't have the Frostbite, but it's more FP efficient. So I'm gonna say it's just a little bit worse. So maybe that one's a B. This one's a B plus, I think. Like I'm just gonna actually I guess I had all this basically at B plus, huh? So we'll just say it's a B. Like solid spell to use on the opening. It's more realistic to use than Ronnie's because it's much earlier in the game. But just a solid B. Okay, now the Twin Moons is worse because like you need to be close to use it. So it's I don't know. It's the few situations in the game where you can use it, it is really cool. And it does so much damage. But it's just too few situations, dude, I think. I basically did a couple of the situations on the run today. Or the sorcery run, right? The Putrescent Knight where he does the big mound of putrescence or whatever. And then on Godfrey, you can use it during the stomp. That's good damage, but unfortunately, it's too niche, I think. Glintstone Shard, I think this one is that right? Is it Pebble? I guess it's Pebble. Very FP efficient, solid damage, quick. Oh boy, dude, this is the B plus tier list right here, isn't it? Like, it's a really decent spell. How are these all B tiers, dude? Like a B plus, it's good. So Swift Glintstone Shard gives you the jump attacks, sprint attacks, and all that cool stuff. I'll say it's a B minus. I think it's pretty solid. I mean, yeah, it's probably just a B minus, I guess. It has to be up there with Nails. I think it's similar to Nails. I mean, believe it or not, all of these spells are B pluses. So they're all like right next to each other in my mind. Okay. So Stars, Glintstone Stars, is that what? Oh, I have it here. Glintstone Stars. This is not great. But it can track stuff. It's obviously a C tier. I don't even need to think about it. It's just a C tier spell, dude. Very similar to Ranker Call, I guess. Magic Armament. I feel like this one's pretty bad. Compared to the other one that I give a C tier, this one's probably like a D tier. Well, I mean, maybe it's not that bad though, actually. I'm just gonna put it next to it. Because yeah, I guess if you want to go with like a strength int build or something, you want to keep that strength infusion, but you also have good int and a good catalyst, then yeah, you could probably get a couple hundred AR from that, right? It's just a little buff on top. I do think it's probably worse though than the Frost one. It's pretty niche to use this one, I would say. I don't know. Magic Shield, Scholar Shield. This is a good spell, dude. If you're going with the shield build, which is not many people, this is a must use. So it raises your shield to the next like hardness level, so your blocks will be more effective. So like, for example, if you're fighting Leonine, then he'll have a bigger stun when he hits your shield, which can be really nice. Yeah, 320 AR at 80 N with loose stats. Yeah, like that's pretty solid, dude. Maybe I'm too low on this actually, but I don't know. I'm gonna put it back where it was. I still think it's like a C plus. So I think Scholar Shield's pretty good. Yeah, it increases your guard boost, so it'll take less stamina to block. It'll raise your shield's hardness up. This is a good spell, dude. It's maybe a little niche, but if you're going with a shield build, essential to use, and you get it really early too. I think it's B. I'm a fan of Scholar Shield, I think. Glintstone Arc. Ooh. So what's really good about Glintstone Arc is that it pierces through crowds. So what that means is it'll hit an enemy, but it'll keep going. Is it A- or is it B+? I don't know if it's enough for an A-, dude. I'm trying to think about it. Yeah, it's a B. It's a B, dude. I think it's B+, probably. A low B+. I was trying to justify, like, I want to fill out my A tier, but there's no way. Like, it's just a B. A B to a B+. Starlight, I mean, I'm going to say it's a D. S tier Starlight, it's a D. Ah, okay, here we go, dude. So this one is Rock Blaster? Hopefully I'm not getting them mixed up. This is an S tier, dude, I think. Am I getting them mixed up? Wait, is this Shadow Earth or Rock Blaster? They look so similar, dude. Oh, this is Shadow Earth. Okay, Shadow Earth is definitely not an S tier. This one's fine. It's fine as well. It's close range. You get some poise on it. Like, maybe it's not that good, actually. Especially not when you can use just the simply better option. So, yeah, it's probably like a C. Probably like a C+, I guess. This one is... I wish it, like, said when I hovered over it or something. It'd be kind of nice. Is this Glintstone Comet Shard? Must be. What's the other one? Or Great Glintstone Shard, maybe? I think it's Great Glintstone Shard. Just B. Just simply a B, dude. Or maybe a B+, I guess. B+. B+. It's a Vine spell. Wait, what is this one? Oh, this is the... Oops, I don't know why I have that open. Thop's Barrier. I feel like this one's not great. I haven't really used it that much, though, so I don't know, but, like, I don't know. Let me know if I'm wrong on D. I just feel like it's probably a D tier. Yeah, we hate Thops here, dude. We hate them. But yeah, this one just eats... Or does it, like, it just deflects the spells? Like, why would you ever use this over Carrion, I guess? Okay, the Shattering Crystal. This one seemed really bad when I first started using it, but then a bit later, it seemed a bit better. I think it's obviously a C tier spell. Because it's still, like, once... So at the start, it's really bad early game, but once you can start getting those numbers up, then it was dealing some fine damage, and it's a bit slow, but perfectly usable. Okay, this must be Terra Magica. So Terra Magica got nerfed. Before it got nerfed, it would probably be S tier, but it got nerfed, so now it's 22.5%. I still think it's really good. A must-have for sorcery builds. I think it's still an A tier, dude. I think it's an A tier spell. This is a quintessential sorcerer spell. If you're doing a sorcery build, you're going to be using it, and it will be very effective. Obviously, the big problem with it is that it's stationary, but good thing you can sit really far back with sorcery a lot of cases, right? When you're using Common Azure or something. And 22.5% damage is still a big boost for free, right? If you could just stand in it. I went from 35 to 22, I believe. So yeah, it's an A tier. Like, I think it's an A tier. Yeah, it's if you're fighting, like, you need to be fighting basically a boss that is stationary where you can get opening hits off. But that's most bosses, right? A lot of bosses, you enter the fight, you can get like, any open world boss, or if you're using stealth, which obviously we have here, using stealth, you can make use of this. And especially when you start combining it with, you know, like bubbles or, I don't know, just like thorns or whatever. It is very good. So it's an A tier, in my opinion. Okay, now this is the one. Rock Blaster. This is an S tier spell, in my opinion, dude. The damage, I could not believe the damage this was doing. This is easy S tier. Like, when you're using this thing, man, I couldn't believe the damage. When, like, we used it on Commander O'Neill, and he didn't even come close to summoning because he just died way too fast. But yeah, if you're using this, if you're fighting a boss like Radahn or a boss that has big openings, this does so much damage. So easy S tier, I think. Easy S tier. Yeah, good poise damage as well, yeah. Or Elden Beast, or... I mean, even Radagon on the opening, or when he does the triple slam, it will shred them up. So yeah, easy S tier, I think, on this one. What is it? This is Crystal something? Crystal Barrage? I mean, this is garbage. Get this garbage out of here, dude. Get this garbage out of here. D. Bad. Oops. Okay, this is Star something? Star Shower. That's what I thought it was, actually. Just put it right next to it, I guess. Star Shower. C. Nothing too special. Gavel of Haima is really cool. I really like the spell, but it's just a B, dude. Like, I don't know. I think it's a really nice spell. I think it's one of my favorites to use, probably. The damage is solid. It's pretty quick. Doesn't do much poise damage, though. No, I'll put it... It's probably right near the Greatsword at B+, I think. Similar type of thing. Is it 20... No, is it really 23 poise? No. Maybe for 2 hits. No. It can't be that high. Unless it is, and it's just so slow that you can't really upkeep the poise damage, but it does have some nice DPS on it, though. Like, it does hit quite hard. And it can knock enemies out of their animation. It's got good hit stun on, like, horses and stuff. I don't think I can justify, like, I would probably, I don't think I can justify putting this in A minus though. Is it really 22 and a half poise? Maybe it is, dude. I would have to go back and check when I was fighting those horses, how quickly they stunned. Yeah, because the shockwave and the hit both do separate poise damage, so maybe it is 22. I mean, it's not like that's that crazy high though, but it's pretty good. Cannon of Haima, B. Like I think it's right next to Mass. I think it's really I think it's a reliable spell. Nice AoE on it. Good, very good damage. I mean, is it actually better? I think it's similar, dude. Yeah, I think it's a B probably. Oh, well, actually, no, it has the knockdown is what it does. And I don't think it gets input red, but I can't remember. I'm going to put a B plus then because it's got that knockdown instead. Okay, Shard Spiral. I think this is pretty obviously an A tier spell. It's sort of like a Pest Threads type spell, but worse. But then in being like less damage, it's more versatile than Pest Threads probably. So Pest Threads I'd put in S tier. I think this one I'm going to put at A. I think it's quite good. Like, we'll absolutely shred the big bosses, man. And that's kind of what its job is, right? But it can still be solid on bosses that aren't that big as well. It can still be solid. It's kind of just like Pest Threads to me. Very similar type of thing where in the situations where it's kind of meant to be used, it is insanely good. But where it's not meant to be used, it's just like fine. But yeah, it's all about those situations, like those big bosses, Placidusax or Elden Beast. That's where you want to be using that thing. Okay, this one is Glintstone Comet Shard. So I'm just gonna put it in like up here as well. I think they're all very solid spells. Comet. I mean, Comet. Could it be a B or an A? Maybe it is, dude. I don't really know, to be honest. With Glintstone Comet Shard, I think it could be an A minus. Like, it's so fast. Does really good damage too. Solid range on it. Like, it's got to be an A tier. Like, maybe. I just don't really know about these other ones, I guess. But I'm gonna put this in solid A tier, I would say. I remember that there's a funny story. The first time I saw someone using the spell in PvP when the game first came out, I thought they were hacking, dude. I was like, how are they shooting a soul spear that does this much damage that they're casting at the speed of like a you know, like some light damage spell? And then I learned later, it's like, oh, that's just a spell in the game. So yeah, this has got to be an A tier. I think arguably these other shards or comets are also A tier, but I don't know, man. I haven't used them enough, I guess, is the problem. Like, they all got good range. They all could be A tiers, maybe. What do we think? Right now, I have them all in B+, basically. Like, the B+ line is right here. Like, all of these are B+, I would say. Do I like short hair better? I don't really care about my hair. I mean, short hair is less annoying, but it means I also have to go get it cut more, so that's the problem. So, okay, anyways. I'll just leave it at this for now. I mean, arguably, the comments could all be up here, I guess. Gravity Well, I believe this one's called. Gravity Well? Kind of slow for what it does. And it pulls in the enemy, like, is that valuable? Not really. Maybe I haven't used this one enough, but I feel like I'm not big on this one. Like, it's probably just a C-, I guess. But it's still, when I used it on the run, like, it still did some damage, though. Like, that's the thing with these sorceries. They're all very usable, and they're not bad. It's just they're not really, like, insane like some of these top ones are. So I'm just gonna say it's a C-, I guess. Maybe it's too high. I don't know. Rock Sling, people are gonna be mad at me probably, but I think it's just a B+ as well. Well, it does good poise damage though. The problem that I have with it is the weird trajectory of it. It's physical damage though. It's physical damage, which is, I mean, when you look at all these spells, this is probably the first physical damage spell we have, right? I don't know. No, there's no way it's an A. Like, I'm just thinking about using it on a boss like some of the main bosses. You know, when you're fighting Morgott or Elden Beast or Radahn even, like, it's solid on those bosses, but there's no way it's, like, I would take a lot of these other spells over it probably. Like, it's kind of the spell when you're running away from enemies and it's like, it's good poise damage, solid damage, all physical and all this stuff. But I mean, I guess most of these are kind of slow as well. Basically, like, maybe the only sorcery that you can use against the Deathbirds. It's good against them, right? Yeah, good against Crystallion as well. Good against Renala phase 2. Yeah, maybe. Man, I got a sneeze coming. Okay, here we go. I thought that wasn't coming through, dude. I think the fact that it is physical damage, I think we'll put it in. Barely. I think it's an A-. I think it's an A- spell. I just don't like the trajectory on it, dude. It can make it really awkward to use. That's the biggest issue I have with it, I think. Other than that, you know, solid range, good poise damage, good damage, physical. So for those reasons, I think it's an A tier. The only reason I put it lower is because the weird trajectory of it. That's the only reason. But I think the other benefits make it an A tier. Okay, so Meteorite is a very niche spell. Like, very niche, dude. But it's good. It's good where you can use it on a boss like maybe... I mean, we use it on Elden Beast for no hit on Sorcery usually. It's quite good there. But there aren't many places to use this because you're just sitting there. And you got to be pretty close, right? So, I mean, definitely better than some of these other ones. But I mean, below Tibia Summons is insane. But we'll just say it's kind of in the C+ range, I guess. Because it does do a ton of damage. Like, if you stun a boss, if you have a boss like a Stell where you can get a stun, it will shred them if you're not taking that riposte. But you're just not really using it in any other situation other than that. And I might as well just put Meteorite of a Stell right next to it. It's basically the same thing. Collapsing Stars, good tracking, okay range. I don't think that, like, the damage isn't great. Like, I guess in Sorcery, there are just kind of a lot of similar spells, right? I think this one also pulls you. But yeah, definitely just a better version of Gravity Well. Like, if you're going to use some sort of, kind of like, if you're going to go Gravity and you want just a straight flying projectile to kill stuff with, that would probably be what you want. Can Crystal Release be up there? That's a really good point, actually. Well, I guess because Crystal Release casting it puts you in a better spot, right? Or maybe I'm forgetting. Like, you don't have to hold this one, do you? Like, you just cast it, and then, you know, it's really slow, but I guess they are very similar, aren't they? No, I'm still on board with this. I still think Crystal Release, I'm more likely to use this in more spots than the Meteorites. Like, these are C+. This is a B-. So it's not really far off. I think that's probably still... I mean, these are physical, though. So maybe that has to influence me a little bit. Like, having physical is so nice because physical is good basically everywhere. So if you... yeah, okay, I've been convinced. I've been convinced. Because if you're fighting a Deathbird, for example, or just any boss that has a longish stun, this will be a big play on them. And like, Crystal Release, it will be the same, but just this would be applicable on more bosses. So, and it's physical. Gravitational Missile, easily an A tier spell, I think. Like, casting this at the ground with the really fast cast to get a big knockdown. I quite like the spell. Good damage. I think this is an A tier. Yeah, like, and it does really good damage too. Vision's the downside, big time. It's also really loud, which is another thing, but in its use, this is definitely an A tier spell, I think. What's this one called? Blades of Stone. This one's really unique because when you do the charge attack, it gets 3 hitboxes on it and does really good damage. Sort of like a mid-range spell. I don't really... I mean, if Rocksling is an A tier, I don't think that means Blades of Stone's an A tier. Yeah, you can't really use those on moving targets. Yeah. I think it is I'm gonna say it's a B+, dude. I think it's a B+. I think it's another solid spell. Loretta Great Bow. I didn't really use it much on our run, but very nice as a sniper spell. Really consistent, good damage, insane range, obviously. Really nice sniper spell, B+, I think. I don't really know where to put it at this point in here, dude. I think it's really good. In Loretta's Mastery, it does more damage and has really good poise damage, but it's a little weird to use. And, like, the arrows can hit the ground and stuff, but I mean, I'm probably gonna say it's the same. Maybe it's a little better in the right situation. Especially, like, if you're fighting a dragon or something and you're aiming up a bit, just do so much damage. But, like, both of these, I think I see them pretty similarly. This one, if you're just killing mobs, you're gonna want to use this one. If you're gonna use this on bosses, this is the one you'd want. Oh yeah, they have insane range. Yeah, like, I guess the thing is you're never using this mid fight either. You're gonna only use this on the opening hit, but that's where, like, Terra Magica can also come in, and you could just one shot with this. Like, it just does so much damage. So good range. Really good on dragons. Like, I think a B+ is reasonable. Like, I guess one thing I really value in Elden Ring is because there are so many bosses in the game, something being versatile is very important to me, which you may have noticed. So yeah, I mean, that explains why, you know, something like the moons, it's really cool where it works. Like, it's not that special where it works, but it's not, like, you can really only use it in a few spots, right? Whereas all of these spells are so versatile, you're just constantly using these, and they're really good. And then these ones are also really versatile, but they're just, you know, maybe slightly less good. Okay, Magma Shot. I think this is a really good spell, dude. It's so nice to have fire damage in the Sorcery. It's kind of weird, but I believe it does get input red. Like, it's a B+, dude. I'm not... Like, same with this one. It's just a B+, I think. Really good spell. Roiling Magma with the big explosion. Oops. After. I think it's really good on the avatars. Anywhere you want fire damage as a sorcerer. I would almost say these are... They're not must-haves, but you want to be carrying this, I think. Similar, like it's a similar type of deal to the bubble, actually, I think. So many, there are so many, honestly, that this the same spell almost. I do feel, I was saying that earlier, a lot of these feel like they're just the same spell, right? Like Collapsing Stars, Rancor Call, like, you know, they're slightly different, but they're kind of doing the same type of thing, right? Gelmir's Fury is definitely worse, but something that's interesting about this spell, if you're using this on the avatars, the initial cast will have a huge amount of damage. And then you can kind of hold it there. But it's way less versatile than these two, so still a solid, like it's still a decent spell though. So I'm still gonna say it's a C tier. Channeled. Rykard's Rancor is kind of similar, a little bit more situational, but it's something that's nice to use when you're just far away from a boss and it's like, okay, well, I can't really do anything, but I'm just going to cast Rancor. If they come close to me, now they're going to start getting hit by lava damage. Another C tier, I guess. Hidden Weapon is a PvP thing, so I mean, I'll just say it's an F tier. F tier for PvE and PvP, still F tier probably, but I don't know. Nightmare's Mist. Nightmare's Mist can put in a lot of work, but how good is it though? It's going in B tier. Probably. Yeah, Pestilent Mist did do more for sure. But that being said, Pestilent Mist Pestilent Mist in Dark Souls 3 is pretty good. It's solid in this game too. I don't think it's that good. Like, I think it's just a B- or a C+. It's just average, I would say. I'll say it's a B- probably. Yeah. Like, I think it can be handy. It can be a good cheesing thing. But you got to play around it. It deals damage to you. So, I mean, I guess that's not great. But yeah, it's fine. Unseen Form's got to be just like... Having stealth in Elden Ring is so good. Maybe it's because I do know hit runs that I think it's so good, but I think it has to be A tier. It is so handy to have stealth in this game. All the running sections, all the enemies, very handy to have. Yeah, like maybe could be S tier, but I like for no hit runs, it's S tier. But for overall game usage, it's, you know, probably a little less than that. No, you know what? It's S tier, dude. Like the fact that you can enter bosses without them aggroing on a sorcery build or just any build is enormous. So I think for that alone, I'm very shocked they never patched that back in the day or back when the game came out. But the fact that you can enter boss fights without being seen is like that's what warrants S tier, I think. Otherwise, if you couldn't do that, it would still be like an A tier or something. But because you can do that, S tier. This is Night Shard. Good spell. Like I mean, where did I put Quick? I put Glintstone Quick or Swift Glintstone Shard here. I think this is a tier above it. So I'm going to say it's B+. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is it a bad thing? I mean, obviously these are subjective ratings to a degree, but I don't think it's a bad thing to have this many spells in this kind of mid-range at all. I don't think that's a bad thing because that means you can use what you want and what looks cool and it'll work just fine, right? I kind of like that versus having, you know, a less bell curve kind of spread, I guess. Yeah, this doesn't get input red, so that's why I definitely, like, I just think it's better. Like, I think it does more damage than Swift Shard. I haven't tested that, but yeah, it could be higher. Like, could be higher in B+, but it's just a B+. I don't really care to think about where in B+ at this point. Like, realistically, it would be higher up. Be, like, up here somewhere. What's this one again? Not back in. Ambush Shard. This one's cool, but I don't think it's that useful. Because I was trying to think of bosses with shields, and there aren't that many. It's really just the Crucible Knights are the only ones I can think of. I guess the Clean Rot Knights, too. Like, it's really not that good, dude. It's cool, though. Wait, why do you hate that I keep saying subjective? I mean, it is, but it's mid-C tier, I think. I think it's fine. Oh, good against a stone enemy. I guess that's true. Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought about that. Which one is this? Eternal Darkness? I honestly have no idea if there's any good. There's one that eats the spells. It's got to be better than Thops, right? Got to be better than Thops, but by how much? I don't really know, man. Yeah, this is objectively the right tier list, yeah. I'm ranking them based on utility, yeah, mostly. Not really on style so much or any of that. I think they all are cool, but... Oh, yeah, the projectile... Yeah, the projectiles, like, circle in. It's cool, but, yeah. I don't know. I guess... Against a boss like a Loretta can be decent. It's going Q. We'll say it's a C tier. I think you can... It's usable. I'm in C tier, I guess. All right, Night Comet. This is the other one I'd consider S tier, probably. It's insane damage. Doesn't get input red. Quite fast. It's basically Comet, but just better. So I think this one's S tier for sure. The damage is absolutely insane. Plus, it doesn't get dodged. These two spells are really all you need, in my opinion. I think these two spells are all you need. If you're doing a sorcery playthrough, you can do it with these two. Throw in Rock Sling, and you're totally set for basically everything in the game. So yeah, chargeable as well. Which is also really handy, just for even more damage, as if it needed it. What is this one, dude? Look, I don't remember. I'm getting tired of these sorceries, dude. Stars of Ruin. It's fine. Lots of FP cost. Probably better in PvP, I guess. But good against NPCs. Fine damage. Quite a bit of FP cost, though. Where did I put... Oh, I guess I just put these in... I mean, these have got to be above fingers, dude. What am I doing? Yeah. I think this one's probably a better version. It just does more damage. So... But yeah, again, it's sort of just... You know... really good tracking, but it doesn't really do anything super special, I guess. Just gonna say it goes in here. This spell's bad. What is it called? Bounding Rain of Stars. This thing is pretty bad, dude. It's sort of... It's similar to... I don't think it's worse than these. Maybe it's a C-. But it's sort of something you cast and then start doing other stuff. But... I mean, when I used it against the Dragonkin... Okay, this is too low. This is actually too low. Because it took away about half of his health, I think. It's a worse Rain of Fire. Rain of Fire I'd probably put in like B+. So I think this is probably... I feel like B- might be too high. It's just an average spell, I think. It's B, yeah, like it's good for big enemies, but the big problem is you have to be close. So because you have to be close, I'm going to put it lower. Yeah. All right, well, okay, wait, Common Azure is still here. So Common Azure is pretty good. Only for the, exact situations, like, it's very niche as well. It has to be better than these because it can just smoke bosses. I don't think it can make it to A. Not enough utility to make it to A. But yeah, if you want to, get a stun on a boss and just smoke him with a laser, then you smoke him with it, dude. The fact that it can just instantly cheese a couple bosses that are really tough is big. So I think for that, it has to be a B+. But yeah, very niche though. Very niche use case, but it's a B+ in my opinion. You know what? I think Rocksling is a really good like gatekeeper for A tier. I think that's a pretty solid gatekeeper. And I would say that all of these spells are probably worse. I mean, maybe the Comets could be better. Is really the only one. But okay, well there it is, dude. I'm sure if I did this tier list in 25 seconds over again, it would look totally different. But this is what I'm saying, dude. I actually think these are probably a bit higher though. This is what I'm thinking. Something like this. Now, maybe don't pay too much attention to where in the tiers the spells are, like, at least to a degree, right? I think from Retaliation and above is A or is B+. Basically, the Bs are... I don't really know actually where. The normal Bs go to probably, like, maybe here, and then these are B-. But yeah, don't pay too much attention to that order, because I kind of... towards the end, I was maybe getting a little tired, but... This is what I'm thinking. Now I haven't used sorceries a ton. Like I've definitely used incantations more, but this is my instinct on where things should go right now. And I think it's a good spread because it's good to have a lot of these spells that are all solid that you can just pick from. Just you pick what you like, right? Yeah, Estelle Meteor could be below regular. That's true. Like it's more consistent with normal Meteor, but yeah, we got the 4 S tiers though. I think Rock Blaster is... It just simply does way too much damage to not be an S tier. But obviously Slicer's the GOAT of sorceries in this game. I have zero doubt in my mind that is the case. Now, to be fair though, if you're on a first playthrough, which one will you have more success with, Night Comet or Slicer? Probably Night Comet, just because you don't need to know as much about the bosses. But overall, Slicer's the one, dude. It's insane. I mean, I did a full Carrion Slicer no-hit run, and it was one of the easiest runs. It was one of the best. I mean, when you compare it to the melee weapons in the game, it is simply one of the best already. So yeah. But yeah, definitely Rock Blaster. I was surprised by Rock Blaster on this run, how much it did. And even if you're not holding it, dude, like if you just do a tap cast and you get the drill plus the slam, it's so much damage still. So yeah, like this definitely has to be at least at an A+. I like it a lot, so I'm putting it in an S, but there we go, dude. Anyways, thanks for hanging out tonight, you guys. Okay, wait, I'll look at this really. I don't know what. More tier list stuff. Oh, boss tier list. Okay. Well, who is this, first of all? Just some random guy who did a first playthrough? I mean, like, if this is their first playthrough, like, there's not really any wrong answer, right? I mean, guys being this low is kind of insane, but if on a first playthrough, there's no wrong answer, dude. Because, yeah, like, there's just no way. Who's the jerk? I'm banning them. I mean, if I wanted to like, get some Twitter likes or something, I would... quote tweet this and just say like Gaius, or I don't know. Gaius disrespect is insane or something. But yeah, realistically, Moose being this high is insane, right? That's probably more egregious than Gaius being this low. Like Moose above Millennia. It's kind of funny. But I mean, maybe they just really like, the thing is, when someone's making a tier list, if they basically only care about how a boss looks, then yeah, Moose would be pretty high. You get the cool arena and the cool soundtrack, I guess, and the arena looks cool and the attacks look cool, but I mean, it's not a good fight. But if you don't really care about that, then that's fine, right? Personally, I care about the fight the most. I personally like my spread of categories and the weighting of the categories. To me, the fight is the most important part, and then a lot of other factors are included. Not really music though. I don't really base it on music, but yeah, for me, Gaius is. I mean, okay. First of all, I don't think I'd put any boss in perfection in Elden Ring, but masterpiece. I would say that Malekith is a masterpiece boss. Probably. I think Millennia could be perfection. Perfection above masterpiece is. I mean, that's basically the same thing, realistically, dude. I feel like that's unnecessary, but yeah, those are probably the only two I'd say are like actually. I mean, even Millennia is arguably not. I like the fight a lot. I do think I personally I think Malekith is he's my favorite boss in the game. I think he's probably the best boss in the game. Millennia, if I forget about how kind of BS Waterfowl is and stuff, then she's my favorite. But I don't know. But what else is going on here? I guess Rolana, Placidusax, is Godric this high? I mean, again, it's probably a first playthrough, so this is all pretty reasonable, I think. Fortisax being this high, but again, it's just like, oh, it looks cool. Mid, Renala, Fire Giant, that's pretty accurate. But guys below, that's kind of insane. But people really don't like the charge on Gaius, dude. Like, that's really what it comes down to. In my mind, Gaius is at least a great boss. Well, my tier is totally different. I think Gaius is a good to great boss, personally. But anyways, have a good weekend, you guys. I'll be back on Monday. I'll probably do some routing. Well, actually, I've kind of got a busy weekend, but I'll try to do some routing of region locked all bosses. No hit. And yeah, I'll be back on Monday. So I'll see you guys then. And yeah, take care, you guys.